Important alert. The second house next to your house is open immediately. This is a very important message for you today. Do not ignore it. Pay attention to this message. There's a reason you've been feeling a strange pull towards something close, something so close, in fact, that your spirit's been brushing against it without realizing. And today, Archangel Michael leans in to reveal what's been hidden in plain sight. The second house next to your house, it's not just bricks and walls. It's a container of something sacred, something forgotten, something meant for you. You've passed by it before, maybe countless times. But never like this. Never with your eyes wide open. Because now, heaven has unlocked something. A memory. A message. A movement. And you are being asked, softly but surely, to turn toward it. Not out of fear, but because something that once belonged to you, a promise, a vision, a love, a prayer, has been resting behind those walls, waiting for you to finally be ready. And now you are. That's why you're seeing this. That's why your chest tightened when you read the words. The second house is not just a building. It is a spiritual chamber. A sacred space. A mirror to your past and your purpose. Michael stands by the gate, his hand on the latch. His voice doesn't shout. He whispers, "Look again. You missed something. But not anymore." There is something sacred hidden in spaces we overlook, something waiting in the silence of structures we pass every day without asking why they pull at us. The second house next to your house is one such space. It has waited, like a sealed memory wrapped in sunlight and dust. Not abandoned, preserved. And today, because your heart has finally quieted enough to feel what logic can't explain, Archangel Michael has received permission to walk you into it. You don't have to open a door. You only have to open your awareness. The door responds not to keys, but to presence. And as your soul steps forward, you'll begin to feel it, a warmth coming from a place that should be empty, a whisper from walls that were never meant to be silent. Michael walks with you now, slowly, reverently, for even he understands the weight of what is held here. The second house is not made of wood and stone alone. It is built from every moment you forgot you were chosen, every tear you didn't let fall, every dream you told yourself was too much to ask for. And now, those pieces are calling for restoration. The second house is not haunted. It is hallowed. It is filled with the echoes of everything your soul came to this world to remember. Archangel Michael places his hand against the frame and breathes softly, "They're ready now." And as the air shifts, you feel it, something old, something gentle, something you didn't realize you lost until you stand before it again. The house does not groan. It exhales. And in that sacred breath, your name is whispered, not your outer name, but your soul name. The one heaven has always known. That's what this house holds. Not fear. Not mystery. But memory. The kind that doesn't live in your head, but in your spirit. A fragment of who you were before the pain, before the silence, before the world asked you to forget your softness. You take a step inside. There are no cobwebs. Only stillness. Stillness that feels like something holy. The room ahead of you doesn't demand, it invites. And Michael walks with you into the center, where the light pours in exactly the way it did the day you first asked, "Is there more to me than what they see?" And here, in this sacred space, the answer has been waiting. Because this is the place where the heavens buried your voice. Not to hide it, but to protect it. Until you were ready to speak from truth again. This is the place where the version of you that almost gave up finally gets to exhale. Where the tired parts of you no longer need to pretend. Where your spirit kneels, not in defeat, but in return. And Archangel Michael kneels with you, hand on your back, whispering, "This is the moment heaven's been waiting for." You look around, and you begin to see it. This isn't a house at all, it's a reflection. Every wall speaks a language your dreams once knew. Every corner holds a piece of your light you tucked away when life got too loud. There is a chair in the room. Familiar. Faint. And when you sit, it's as if 1,000 prayers you didn't remember praying rise from the floor into your lungs. You begin to breathe differently. Deeper. Truer. This is what it feels like when your soul returns home. Not a location. A remembrance. And as your hands rest on your knees, Michael unfolds something from his robe. It's not paper. It's not stone. It's light. Pure, folded, pulsing light. He opens it, and you begin to see what's inside. Words. Phrases. Promises that were made about you before you even had form. And he says gently, "These are the things you stopped believing, but heaven never did." You read. Slowly. And with every line, something in your chest begins to break, not from pain, but from release. You see that you were always meant to be here. That your tears were never wasted. That your waiting was never ignored. That the delays were divine. That the ache in your chest wasn't emptiness, it was direction. A sacred pull guiding you toward this very moment. The house begins to feel warmer. The windows brighter. And in the distance, you hear something. A voice you've not heard in years. Maybe it's a loved one. Maybe it's your younger self. Maybe it's heaven. It says only this: you didn't miss it. You were always walking toward it. And now, you're here. Michael stands again. The scroll of light returns to his chest. But you don't feel the loss. You feel whole. Because you are not leaving this place with nothing. You are leaving with what was always yours, your voice, your clarity, your fire, your permission to believe again. And as you stand, the house does not say goodbye. It simply shifts slightly, as if bowing to your soul, saying, "Thank you for remembering." You walk out, not as someone who entered a mystery, but as someone who unlocked a destiny. And behind you, Michael's wings stretch wide, covering the second house again, protecting it, preserving it, until the day you need to return again, not to find what you lost, but to gather what else you're ready to receive. When you step out of that house, something inside you doesn't return with you, because it was never meant to. That weight you carried, the silence you swallowed, the doubts that lived in your bones, they stayed behind, absorbed by the walls that were built to take what you could no longer hold. And now you are lighter. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You remember now. You remember that your life was never meant to be ordinary. That your name was spoken in heavenly places long before it was ever written on earth. That your journey, even in its detours, was divinely designed. And Michael walks beside you now, not to lead you back to safety, but to guide you forward into purpose. Because what happened in that house wasn't just memory, it was activation. A fire was relit inside your spirit. A whisper turned into a calling. A vision long forgotten returned to your eyes with clarity. This is what spiritual alignment feels like. Not loud. Not public. But powerful. You walk through the same streets, but your steps echo differently. The ground recognizes you. The air bends around your name. Because now you are in sync with heaven's rhythm. And everything ahead of you will feel it. Michael pauses near your doorstep, but you sense something has shifted even there. Your home is no longer just a shelter, it is now a sanctuary. The residue of revelation still clings to your hands. The second house may have been quiet to others, but it spoke loudly to your soul. And now the conversation continues, not with voices, but with signs. The right people will begin to appear. The old heaviness in your chest will begin to lift. You will feel guided toward decisions you've delayed. You'll begin saying no to what used to keep you small, not out of pride, but out of peace. Because you have changed. Your energy has changed. You are no longer seeking permission. You are now moving in authority. And that authority is not pride, it is remembrance. Remembrance that heaven trusted you long before you trusted yourself. And now the same heaven is sending you instructions through whispers, through confirmations, through Michael's presence at your side. He says little now, but everything he does is purposeful. He leads you to a quiet place. Maybe in your mind, maybe in your surroundings. But the space opens up, and there is stillness again. You sit. Not to wait, but to listen. And the message that rises now is not from outside. It's from within. A voice you'd buried beneath years of doubt says softly, "You know what you're here for. Stop pretending you don't." You feel that. Not as pressure. As power. That second house awakened something deeper than clarity. It awakened courage. The courage to finally become who your soul has always been becoming. You no longer need to be convinced. You no longer need every answer. You are walking with angels now. You are moving with insight now. And your pace is no longer based on fear. It's guided by flow. Michael opens his hand, and inside it is not a weapon, but a map. A spiritual one. One that only reveals one step at a time. You see it now, your life is not off track. It was gathering force. Gathering depth. And the steps ahead of you are not stairs. They are gates. Gates to love. Gates to freedom. Gates to everything you thought was out of reach, now walking toward you because you're aligned with it. The map pulses in Michael's hand, and then slowly dissolves into your heart. You don't need to memorize it. Because it's already written into your spirit. Every time you feel unsure, you'll feel that same glow you felt in the second house into your path, and it will pull you back into your true voice. You don't need to explain this to anyone. Let your energy speak. Let your peace speak. Let your results speak. What you found was not a mystery. It was the missing rhythm. The divine timing your life had been waiting to tap into. You stand now. Taller. Not with ego. But with understanding. And heaven watches you with reverence. Because those who return from sacred places are not ordinary anymore. They are marked. You have been marked. Not with fame, but with favor. With a softness that carries power. With a stillness that shifts rooms. You are not just someone who visited the second house. You are someone who unlocked it. And because of that, what was once hidden is now rising in your everyday life as blessing, as clarity, as courage, as movement. Something changes in your environment when you carry divine clarity. The world may appear the same, but the atmosphere bends in your favor. People sense it, though they may not name it. Animals pause. The wind seems to touch you softer. There is a stillness around you that is no longer emptiness, it is presence. The second house didn't just show you what was hidden, it gave you access to something that now follows you. Not a shadow, but a spiritual gravity. And from this moment on, the things that were stuck begin to move. The conversations you were waiting for start to unfold. The people who left without closure begin to sense something calling them back. Not because you're chasing, but because alignment pulls what's yours into reach. Archangel Michael doesn't walk ahead of you now. He walks beside you, hand open, eyes lifted toward what's coming next. Because now you are no longer in the phase of remembering, you're in the phase of receiving. You are receiving favor. You are receiving clarity. You are receiving what felt like delay but was only design. This is how divine timing works. It does not rush, it prepares. And you, beloved soul, have been prepared. Quietly. Spiritually. Layer by layer. And now that the foundation is strong, the blessings can arrive and stay. Your life will begin to reflect what the second house showed you. Unexpected breakthroughs will come. Emails you thought were forgotten will show up. People who once misunderstood you will begin to see you clearly. You will notice that old burdens no longer drain you. Certain worries simply dissolve, as if heaven said, "That's not your weight anymore." And they'll be right. Because now, your soul has entered a new agreement. You no longer agree with scarcity. You no longer agree with delay. You no longer agree with pain that tries to define your worth. You are walking in divine rhythm. And heaven responds to those who walk like they know they are loved. Your voice has changed. Your steps have changed. Your inner dialogue is softer, stronger, wiser. This is not about perfection. It's about presence. You are present now. Present in your body. Present in your purpose. Present in your permission to finally feel joy again. And joy will begin to multiply in your hands without effort. That's what happens when your life is aligned. The fruit comes not because you force it, but because you are rooted. And your roots are deep now. Anchored in heaven. Anchored in memory. Anchored in truth. And the truth is this: you were never forgotten. You were always becoming. You are not late. You are right on divine time. Michael whispers now, not to teach, but to affirm. He says, "You are in the season we preserved just for you." Walk with open hands. And as he speaks, your environment continues to shift. It may not be immediate, but it will be undeniable. The house feels different. The mirror speaks differently. Your own voice sounds more like the truth. This is restoration. Not loud. Not staged. Just steady. This is the kind of restoration that rewrites timelines. The kind that returns what you thought was permanently lost. Love you thought was gone. Opportunities you thought you missed. Versions of yourself you thought were buried under years of survival. Everything is being gathered. And it is coming not from force, but from flow. From now on, life will meet you differently. Because now you know how to meet life with openness instead of resistance. You no longer fight for what aligns, you flow into it. And that flow is spiritual. It is powerful. It is holy. You'll begin to hear the voice of heaven more clearly in the little things. The pause before saying yes. The peace before a decision. The random moment you walk into a room and sense something sacred. These are not small things. These are divine signals. Your entire life is becoming a language through which heaven speaks. And you are not just listening anymore. You are speaking back. With your steps. With your kindness. With your quiet strength. This is what it means to live touched by light. You are no longer waiting for miracles, you are walking as one. And everyone who comes near you will feel it. They may not understand. They may not know what changed. But you will. You'll know it began in the second house. In the place where silence broke. In the moment heaven whispered, now. There comes a moment after awakening when you no longer seek confirmation, you become it. Not with arrogance, but with clarity. You begin to walk into rooms and feel the shift. Not because you speak louder, but because your presence is rooted. That's the power of divine restoration. It doesn't make you famous, it makes you undeniable. And now that the second house has shown you what was always waiting within you, your life becomes the ground where heaven walks in secret. The conversations you have will carry more weight. The way you pause, the way you listen, the way you speak, people will feel something in you before they even understand what it is. That something is sacred. That something is divine authority. The kind of authority that doesn't try to control, but allows. That doesn't push, but aligns. That doesn't rush, but moves in timing so holy that even your waiting becomes worship. And Michael walks with you now not just as a protector, but as a witness, because what is about to unfold from your life is not ordinary. It is legacy. You were never meant to just heal and move on. You were meant to rise and pour. You were meant to speak in a way that wakes up others. You were meant to hold space for people who forgot who they were until they met your energy. You are no longer the same. You can feel it even when you try to be quiet about it. You are no longer asking for what you were born to carry. You are now remembering that everything you've walked through, every loss, every ache, every unanswered question, was preparing you to become the person who now holds answers in their silence. You are the answer someone is praying for. Your kindness is not small anymore. Your forgiveness is not weakness anymore. It is power. Pure, unshakable, holy power. And now your purpose isn't about trying to prove anything. It's about showing up fully as yourself and letting your alignment speak louder than your efforts. You no longer have to over-explain your heart. The right souls will feel it. They will find rest near you. Because what you carry now is not just healing, it's home. Michael pauses and places something in your hands. Not an object. Not a command. But a permission. You don't have to wait anymore. You don't have to hide anymore. You don't have to shrink your spirit to fit the spaces you've outgrown. You were called to shift atmospheres. To bring peace into places that forgot what it feels like. To look someone in the eye and remind them that their pain is real, but so is their promise. This is what purpose looks like when it's birthed from presence. This is what divine assignment feels like when it comes from love, not pressure. You're not carrying anyone, you're creating space for them to remember they can carry themselves. And that, beloved soul, is the highest form of service, not to save, but to remind. The second house didn't just restore you, it recommissioned you. And now, your every step is a sermon. Your silence is a sanctuary. Your presence is a prophetic wind. People will come to you not knowing why they're drawn. They'll say things like, "You feel familiar, you feel safe. I don't know why, but I feel better around you." That's heaven. That's legacy. That's the light of your awakening reaching into the world without needing a spotlight. You will move differently now. Not faster, but deeper. Not louder, but truer. You don't need applause. You need alignment. And alignment is here. You are in it. You are living it. And Michael smiles, not because the work is done, but because the work is just beginning. The kind of work that doesn't burn you out. The kind of work that flows through you as peace. As poetry. As presence. You're not here to compete. You're here to carry light into every place that once made you feel small. This is your time. Not just to be seen, but to see. To see yourself clearly. To see others gently. To see every single breath you take as sacred. Because now you know, the divine doesn't move in noise.